Today we're exploring the history and relationships between the free software movement and open source. It's a topic that I was not really clear on myself till I did some research, but understanding the difference might give insight into how modern software development works and why some of your favorite apps exist. Let's start with the OG, the Free Software Foundation. Back in 1985, Richard Stallman founded the Free Software Foundation because he had a vision. Software should be free. Not free as in doesn't cost money, but free as in freedom. Stallman came up with 4 essential freedoms that all software should have. 1. You can run it for any purpose. 2. You can study and modify it, which means you need the source code. 3. You can share copies with others. 4. You can distribute your modified versions. This wasn't just about code. Stallman saw this as a moral issue. He believed that proprietary software was unethical because it restricted people's freedom to control their own computers. The Free Software Foundation didn't just talk the talk, they walked the walk. They created the GNU project to build a completely free operating system, developed the famous GCC compiler, and most importantly, they created the GPL license. This copyleft license, as opposed to copyright, ensured that if you used GPL code, your derivative work also had to be free. 10 years or so later, in 1998, Netscape, who made Netscape Navigator, released their browser's source code, and some folks, including Eric Raymond and Christine Peterson, saw an opportunity. They thought the term free software was confusing and maybe off-putting to businesses, so they coined open source. The open source initiative focused on the practical benefits: better code quality, faster development, more innovation. Instead of Stallman's moral crusade, they said, hey, this collaborative development model just works better. Eric Raymond wrote an influential essay called The Cathedral and the Bazaar, that basically argued open collaboration, the bazaar, beats closed development, the cathedral. This pragmatic approach apparently really resonated with the tech industry. While both movements want the same technical freedoms, they are quite different philosophically. The free software is more of this is about human rights and digital freedom. Proprietary software is morally wrong. Open source is like, look, we don't need to get all political. Let's just focus on making better software through collaboration. Stallman actually rejected the term open source because he felt it watered down the message. He worried that without the ethical framework, people would miss the point entirely. Meanwhile, open source advocates thought the Free Software Foundation was too dogmatic and that their moral stance actually hurt adoption. They wanted to win over businesses, not lecture them. But despite all the philosophical drama, these movements are incredibly intertwined. Most of the software we use daily is both free software and open source. Linux, Firefox, many programming languages like Python, C, and Rust, they satisfy both definitions. The Free Software Foundation's GPL license is hugely popular in open source projects, and many developers just use the terms interchangeably because, practically speaking, they often mean the same thing. It's like they're two sides of the same coin. The Free Software Foundation provides the ethical foundation and legal framework, while open source provides the mainstream adoption and business acceptance. Today, open source has basically won in terms of popularity. GitHub, cloud computing, mobile apps are all built on open source foundations. But the Free Software Foundation is still out there fighting a good fight on issues like digital rights management, software patents, and trying to keep corporations honest. There's a job. The irony is that the Free Software Foundation's radical vision from the 1980s is now just normal. Most of the internet runs on free/open source software. Your Android phone is built on a modified Linux kernel. Your favorite website is probably running on Apache or Nginx. So, in the end, the free software movement and open source aren't competitors. They're maybe more like an old married couple that bicker and about philosophy and terminology, but they're building the same house together. Whether you think of it as free software or open source, This movement fundamentally changed how we build technology.
So that's another video in the can. If you found this informative or interesting, please consider liking and subscribing down below. And remember, be excellent to each other.